Tonight's masterclass is a doozy. And by that I mean it's about one of the toughest topics when it comes to sustainable success. And that's how hard it is to actually sustain our motivation. So we're going to get real tonight, talk through some strategies for how to hack into your own psychology and how the LifeTracker itself is designed to help you sustain motivation over the long term. So we're going to talk through the middle dip of motivation and a few tactics and strategies for maintaining your motivation over the long haul. So let's see what's going on in chat. Here we go. Colorado, Northwest Arkansas. Kate, I'm actually going to be in Arkansas real soon. I just scheduled my flights. I was just on Southwest for the past hour. TL is raising her hand. I can't actually use the hand raising thing for tonight's call, but if you've got anything to say, share in the chat. Hey, Kate, I'm going to be in Omaha for like a hot second, like an hour or two, and then I'm going to be heading to the University of Nebraska at, what's that adorable city? What's it called? I'm totally blanking on it. Oh, Lincoln, Nebraska, which I adore. Brad and I actually stopped in Lincoln on our way home from our wedding. We had road tripped out to New York, and I love Lincoln, Nebraska. So if anyone hasn't been yet, put it on your bucket list. They've got really cute things going on there. I'm speaking at a conference on women in national security with the University of Nebraska. So we'll have to reconnect and chat more about that. Hey, North Carolina, DC in the house. I love it. Oh yeah, not Northwest Arkansas, sorry. Just the state of Arkansas. I'm coming right back to Denver afterwards because I'm going to be in 3 states in 3 days on that kind of a trip. So it's going to be a brutal one. Hi from Denver, from Baltimore. I'm so glad to see you're all here. If you are from a major city too, definitely make sure to let us know in case you've got an accountability buddy in the chat room tonight. I'm sure you guys want to see who's tuning in and where folks are coming from. Okay, let's jump in. I'd love to come to Northwest Arkansas sometime. We'll talk more about it. So if we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm Emily Aries. I'm the boss behind Bossed Up. And tonight we're really talking about how to get unstuck. I actually just recorded a podcast with a friend of mine who kind of got stuck in the process of negotiation, of starting her negotiation conversation with her boss. And I don't know about you, but I can get very freaking creative when I'm stuck. So when there's a proposal that I just don't know how I'm going to write, when there's a problem to be solved that I just don't know how I'm going to solve it, I get very busy doing lots of other things like booking flights. Or I become what I call a productive procrastinator. I'll go do laundry. I'll make that doctor's appointment. I'll reorder the dog's medicine. We can get very creative when it comes to procrastinating. And tonight's conversation in part is to help us catch ourselves when we're doing that and to help us stay focused on the things that are most important to you. Using the LifeTracker at first can be a little bit alarming in that it kind of calls you on your own productive procrastination. It forces you to really think about what's most important to you, and then it's going to remind you when you're neglecting those things. And yes, of course, we're busy doing other things. We're busy tackling whatever needs to get tackled to make our bosses happy and our families happy and our clients happy. But at the end of the month, when we look at our LifeTracker and we say, holy shit, the thing that I said was most important to me this month, I have made no progress on. So there's a reality check that comes with using the LifeTracker. And we're going to talk about how to overcome feeling stuck or feeling that sense of shame and guilt that comes with not making progress. One of my favorite ways to do that, or to start to get unstuck, is to actually name it. To actually say out loud or write down, wow, I've been putting this off for a week and a half. Why? Why have I put this to-do list item on my to-do list every single day for a week and a half? Let me talk it out with a friend. Let me pick up the phone. Or sometimes if a friend's not available to talk it out, let me just write it out. Let me start thinking about it on paper so that I can see where I'm getting stuck and start to look it in the eye. The more we distract ourselves with busy work, the less we actually get to the root of the problem of what is causing us to procrastinate. So we're going to talk more about that tonight. And I want to ask you, how do you get unstuck? So when you find yourself wrestling or with a problem that doesn't seem to be getting untangled, or feel like you're procrastinating in a way, what are some of the tactics you've found that have worked for you in going from ignoring the problem to actually dealing with the problem? Mine is all about naming it to tame it, and calling a friend or phoning a friend like a hotline to help me out. I'd love to hear from you just at the top of the hour, before we dive into all the research. What have you found, or what have you already done to hack into your own motivation? I'd love to hear from you. Brittany from Golden. I love Golden. Okay, I have to ask myself out loud why I'm avoiding it. Girl, you and me both. I don't know what it is about speaking words out loud, but for some reason, I have a feeling we're both probably extroverts. For some reason, I feel like that helps you start to talk it out even if no one's there, just saying it out loud. Kate, I get to work, I start researching, I start asking peers. If I sit with it, I end up in analysis paralysis. Great point. Progress begets progress. Lots of reflection, verbally or just in my head, maybe on a walk or in the car. I'm all about a good walk and talk. Taking yourself out of the environment that you feel stuck in is a really great best practice. Breaking the task down into smaller steps that I can easily manage. Lauren, where did you learn that one, I wonder? Are you all getting together? Lauren and TL? Oh my God, so cute. I love this. Okay, yay. You're already on top of the accountability buddy train. I remind myself about things I've already accomplished. Feeling like I have a win under my belt helps me get motivated to tackle the next task. Jacqueline, that is a brilliant strategy. In fact, in one of my favorite books, I was just referencing this for my bibliography in my book, Switch by Chip and Dan Heath. They talk about that strategy as though in this really complicated metaphor I'm not going to get into. I know I mentioned them in this book last week too. But one of the examples they gave is basically give yourself a punch card with 2 holes already punched. The idea of giving yourself a head start, reminding yourself of all the shit you've already accomplished, can actually motivate you to keep going. Love that, Jacqueline. All right. So you're all super on top of this. I hope we're already learning from one another. And I just wanted to start with that question, which is super related to today's topic, to remind us of just how much of a wealth of knowledge there is within our very community here. So thank you for weighing in. I love that. So here's what we're going to do tonight. Here's my objectives for tonight's call. I want to check in with one another, see how we're hanging in there, seeing where we're struggling, seeing what's working, what's not. I want to break down what the middle dip of motivation is all about. TL and some of my other Bossed Up Bootcamp alums in here may have already heard a thing or two of this. Some of it came out of our Bossed Up Bootcamp modules themselves, but we're going to dive deep into what the middle dip of motivation is all about and how we can hack into sustaining our own motivation even through the middle dip with sub-goals, rewards, and repetition. And then we're going to leave with some new systems for accountability throughout. You're going to see new pictures that have come in over the course of the last week in terms of social media. So thanks to Jennifer for this Gram of the Week. She just got her planner last week. And by the way, here's my accountability buddy, Vanessa. Vanessa, I don't know if you're tuning in tonight, but hi. I had to share this adorable selfie she took and sent to me earlier. I think it was over the weekend. My days got a little scrambled this week because I took Monday off to go skiing. Hey, Vanessa. Here's my accountability buddy, Vanessa, being adorable. And I wanted to share. Okay, so a couple of questions for you before we dive in. Did you have a chance to watch the first masterclass or join me live? I want to make sure you've done that. If you're watching this live, or if you're watching this as a recording and you haven't watched the first one yet, I recommend you start there. And have you been checking in with yourself? Last week, we all set ourselves a weekly reminder. And I have a weekly reminder going off right now to start this call. And yes, that is Teddy the dog and Brad on my phone. But did you actually have a chance to check in when your alarm went off and it reminded you to check in on your LifeTracker? Did it happen? I'll give you a quick story from my mom, who is absolutely using the LifeTracker this year for the first time, I might add. She's been sending me really cute texts all week long. She's gotten into it. And she said just on Monday, "Hi, Boo. working on the LifeTracker, listening to masterclass number 1 now. I was working last Wednesday and I'll be teaching this Wednesday. I'm at the part for setting an alarm to check in. And she brought up a really good point that I wanted to address. She said, that's hard for me since every week is different. But for now, I'm starting with trying on Sunday afternoons. So my mom works shift work. She's a labor and delivery nurse, and every single week her shifts change. So for folks like my mom who have a really unpredictable schedule, I'm wondering if you had any suggestions for how to go about setting a weekly time to check in if your week fluctuates so much from week to week. Or in my case, I was basically on a ski vacation when my alarm went off because I took Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to go up to the mountains. And when my alarm went off, I'll be honest, I didn't do much. I think I was drinking wine and eating cheese and reading Michelle Obama's book at the moment. So, there's no need for perfection on this, but I'd be curious to hear how many of you can honestly say that you checked your LifeTracker when your alarm went off this past week. I'd love to hear if you did that. For my mom, I was thinking of suggesting, and for anyone else who's dealing with the same challenge, of setting 2 alarms. Your first is sort of like the alarm that'll go off on a Sunday evening if I'm not working at that time to remind me to check in. And then another alarm, another point in the week in case for any reason you missed that first alarm. Brooke says, I check my LifeTracker daily. That's awesome. Kate says, I tuned in a little late, not consistently. And then you're answering all of these. Okay, which quadrant is your highlighted goal for the month? That's my next one. So awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Anyway, I wanted to sort of think through how that weekly regimen is working for you. If it is working, great. If it's not, don't let the need to feel perfectionistic about it frustrate you. We're halfway through the month, the first month of the new year. So it's a pretty natural time of the month to feel not super motivated, not super organized, not super on top of it. The shiny back to school gleam of the very start of the new year has worn off by now, but we don't yet have a full month under our belt. So it's kind of the murky middle time of the month, which can be a little it can be a little frustrating for folks. Katie says, my alarm went off and scared the dog, LOL. But I had just filled it out for January the day before, so not much to check in on. Totally get it. I'd love to hear more from you as you continue through the next few weeks to see if that weekly reminder is working for you. Kristen's planner is still in transit. I blame all the snow. Any tips for not feeling overwhelmed when I try to get it and get up to speed? Yes, I do have some tips on the next slide for you, so hold that thought. For those of you who have filled out your LifeTracker for January, which is your highlighted goal for the month? Work, love, wellness, or other? I'd love to hear from you. Mine, as I mentioned last week, is other. It's the money stuff that I'm trying to tackle this month. And if anyone here has already completed those 3 action steps under your highlighted goals, have you given yourself your reward yet? I am super behind on my highlighted goals, to be honest. Gina says hers is work. I'm halfway through, but definitely in the middle dip. Girl, I feel you. Rachel's goal is an other. It's an education goal. 1 step complete, completing step 2 tonight. Excellent. So y'all are making progress. I am not surprised to hear that the most verbal, or I should say participatory folks in the chat are the ones who are like, yeah, I've got it. I'm under control. I've got it all on top of it. If you're like me and you're feeling a little behind right now, it's okay. Let me give voice to those of us who really haven't finished a single one of our action steps on the highlighted goal yet this month. For me, work has been really crazy since I got back at it, and I just haven't made the time to do any single one of my 3 action steps under my highlighted goal. So this is just a reality check moment for us, not a moment to feel ashamed or behind, but instead to kick ourselves in the butt and get motivated to keep moving. As a reminder, especially for those of you like me who are feeling a little behind, figuring out what works best for you takes a little bit of time. So if the weekly alarm isn't working quite right for you, let's adjust it. If your approach to your highlighted goal isn't working well for you, adjust it. As Vanessa said to me when we were catching up over the phone, if you've realized throughout this process that you've set way too many large, unattainably humongous goals for yourself for this month, let's adjust with compassion for ourselves. Figuring out what works best for you takes a little bit of time, but all the trial and error now in the beginning of the year is going to help pay off over the course of the next few months, right? Over the rest of the year when you start getting into a flow on this. Tons of goals, that's me. So Vanessa, you're not alone. TL is working on wellness, focus on living will and the estate plan, wrapped up advanced healthcare directive last month. Thinking about the hard stuff is scary. Yes, woman. Yes. Cool. You resigned today for a new job, Katie. That's exciting. Congratulations. What a fresh start effect you must be feeling right now. So the middle dip hasn't really hit you yet because you're starting a whole new chapter in your life. That's exciting. All right. I'm so glad that podcast helped. That was a pretty good one, right? How to quit your job basically gracefully. I'm so glad that helped. So congratulations. What a boss move. We're excited to hear more about your next opportunity too. As we move forward, one of the ways that we are going to weather the sort of highs and lows that come with striving and trying to thrive while we strive is to have an accountability partner. And there's 3 ways I recommend looking for one. First, partner with someone who already has a LifeTracker planner. My built-in bestie having a LifeTracker planner was the best possible thing this year. And Vanessa, you can back me up here when I say I did not hawk my product on you, right? I am not one to try to get all my friends to buy into my business. I was happy that you wanted in on this for sure, because it's better for both of us if we're both on the same page. And the same thing with my mom. The fact that she texted me and was like, hey, yo, can you hook me up with one of them planners? It's not quite how she said it, but it's a total delight. I'm tickled pink. So if you hear of someone who's in the chat bar today, who's introducing where they're coming from, if you're nearby, let them know. Let's make some connections in the chat bar tonight so we can do what TL and Lauren are doing, which is tuning in together to the next masterclass. So Lauren and TL, thanks for being together. You both came to boot camp in LA, and now you're both on the LifeTracker sort of plan together, which is so exciting. Love it. Yay for accountability buddies. It's a perfect example. For those of you whose friends don't have a LifeTracker planner yet, you can still hook them up with 25% off with that code PlannerPal at bossedup.org/shop. So don't forget to tell them about that. When you rope your friends into this, it's actually better for both of you, because then you have a built-in accountability buddy on top of it all. And for those of your friends who don't want to buy the planner for any reason, we do have a free downloadable workbook. It's not a planner. It's basically just this page. That's the LifeTracker page at bossedup.org/LifeTracker. So they can download that for free and just print out a LifeTracker page. Thousands of women do it that way every month, so you're not alone. But I highly recommend, and for my friend who was asking earlier what to do in the meantime while you wait for your planner to arrive, that's what you should be doing. So go get the free downloadable ebook about the LifeTracker, and just use that one sheeter in the meantime. Okay, this is the problem of the hour, ladies. This is what we are dealing with here. Psychologically and culturally, as a society, we love starting things and we love finishing things. That's why our motivation peaks at the fresh start of a new endeavor. We love setting goals. We love New Year's resolutions. The world at large loves to hear when you've taken on a new initiative, when you've started something new. Even in the startup world, when people announce that they're starting a new company or that they've raised capital to start a new company, everybody applauds. Even though, frankly, as a small business owner who's done this the bootstrap kind of way, I always look at people who are raising tons of investor capital and think, oh my goodness, you've just gotten a lot of debt. You've just raised $7 million worth of funding, but also you owe people $7 million plus interest now. That's pretty scary to me, quite frankly, but that doesn't stop the headlines from covering those companies. We love breaking ground on new projects. Our society encourages starters. At the same time, we celebrate graduations. We celebrate finishing big achievements. We literally celebrate at the finish line of half marathons and Iron Womans and all kinds of races. People love finishers. People love the pomp and circumstance that comes with getting that degree and crossing that finish line. But the slog in the middle is rarely celebrated. And it's also when our motivation lags naturally. This is a pattern that you see in a lot of goal attainment research, a lot of research around self-control, a lot of research around gym attendance, which I think I mentioned briefly on the last call, follows this pattern. We love to start, we hate the middle, and then we get excited when we see the finish line coming. So if you have a big, audacious goal, a goal that might take years to achieve, the slog in the middle dip of motivation when you're naturally going to feel least motivated could drag on for months or even years on end itself. So what we're going to do tonight is think strategically about, okay, how do you identify? Are we feeling this middle dip? Is anyone else here feeling like the middle of the month slog? Do you ever get that 2 o'clock in the afternoon slog, the middle of the day slump? I mean, this is a natural part of how we do things, like physiologically and socially. So just know that you're not alone. That 2 p.m. slump is so real for me every day. Yes, we lose motivation in the middle of a thing, of a time period, or of a pursuit. So, oops, I double clicked. We're going to break down 3 strategies that I like to use and that the research sort of points to as good options for overcoming the middle dip. One is sub-goals, the second are rewards, and then we're going to talk about repetition and the role that plays. So tool number 1, pretty straightforward. Take a big-ass goal and break it into smaller goals so that at least if we're striving towards a week-long goal, we only have Wednesday that feels like a total slump day. As opposed to if we're striving towards a big finish line that's years away, we might spend months in the middle dip. So if you can compress a big goal into tinier sub-goals, you actually move the finish line closer and spend less time in the middle dip itself. Obviously, sub-goals are something we use throughout the course of the LifeTracker. I'll come back to the progress principle. We use it throughout the course of using your LifeTracker. When you fill out your right-hand column, what you're doing every single month is creating sub-goals, right? We take a big goal and we break it down into smaller deadlines. We basically move the finish line closer. By using the LifeTracker, you're also breaking down big yearly goals into a monthly worksheet, which helps bring the finish line closer and make sure that instead of having a couple months in the middle of the year when we don't get much done, we're really just looking at a week perhaps throughout the course of each month, like this week in the month of January when we're feeling low motivation. And the same thing is when you break it down a step further from the year to the month to the daily to-do list. So if you use a daily to-do list, you're also creating sub-goals in that process. Now, what's great about creating sub-goals and bringing the finish line closer into like specific checkboxes that we can check off is that the sensation of progress is inherently motivating. That's what the progress principle is all about. Feeling that satisfaction of checking off a checkbox, celebrating your progress and having achieved a small finish line on the way to a larger finish line is inherently motivating. So not only is it important to write down the baby steps we're taking, right, the action steps we're taking, but actually making sure we're taking note of our progress. It's kind of like that hack that someone mentioned at the very beginning. When I was asking, how do you get unstuck? She said, I think about all the things I've already done to get me towards this goal, right? Or I think of all the times in the past where I've done this. It's a total use of the progress principle. A to-do list, that was also definitely part of it. Sarah says, I felt that couple month slump in the middle of my 1.5-year online master's class. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. For sure. 2 p.m. slump is real for me every day. Yes, so this happens, right? So tool number 1, break it down into smaller goals so that instead of thinking, holy smokes, I'm like so overheated in here, you guys. Sorry, hold on. My heat must be turned way up. I'm like getting pinker by the minute. Where was I? Made that final celebration worth it. I'm glad, Sarah, but thinking about a 1.5-year long goal that you're pursuing, of course there's going to be a middle slump. So bring the finish line closer. Think, what is my next semester benchmark? What is my next monthly benchmark? How can I aim towards that by using the LifeTracker. Tool number 2 to hack into your own psychology when it comes to sustaining your motivation is to use rewards. That's why we have a monthly motivation set at the bottom of our LifeTracker. Actually treating yourself helps you with the progress principle because you're celebrating and bringing mindful intention to taking notice of the progress you're making along the way. So I'm guilty of this myself. Sometimes I get into this worker bee mode where once something's done, it's just cross it off the to-do list and dive right into the next thing. What I'm really working on myself is celebrating my successes a little bit more by taking a little break. Every time I finish something big that I've been driving towards or fighting for, get up, take a break, grab a coffee, grab a snack, take the dog outside, take a walk around the office, go chat it up with a coworker. I'm not saying that we should, pepper our day completely with rewards, but little micro rewards can help you feel that sense of progress and celebrate the achievement of just getting something done and make you feel more ready to return to the task at hand once you've given yourself time for renewal. Does that make sense? Now, obviously, treating yourself is not something that's just reserved for gold stars in kindergarten classrooms. We use it ourselves in the LifeTracker planner. So think strategically about what rewards work best for you. Again, I feel like I touched upon this. I think I touched upon a lot more in the first masterclass this year than I did in years past. But last week we were talking about rewards and what rewards work best for you. Or maybe I'm even getting this mixed up with the in-person workshop I did all about this very topic last week as well. I don't know. But think about what rewards are going to work best for you. If you've set a monthly reward for your highlighted goal, I want to hear about it. What did you set yourself up to get if you achieve your highlighted goal? Here's a couple that always work well for me. Some cheap or free rewards are good. Although I have to admit, remember last week I told you what my silly, dorky reward is? An electronic toothbrush. I do want an electronic toothbrush, but I'm starting to suspect that part of the reason I have felt kind of this middle dip hitting me extra hard this month and haven't really made progress on my highlighted goal might be because I don't really want an electric toothbrush all that much. So sometimes we set ourselves goals, like in this instance, I think I was already planning on getting an electronic toothbrush and thought to myself, oh, this is such an unnecessary indulgence. I should make this a reward. Instead of thinking, what do I really want? That feels more like an indulgence. Do you know what I'm saying? Like maybe I picked something I don't out of a utilitarian standpoint, and that might be why it's not working for me so much. So if anyone else here finds himself picking something that doesn't get them that excited, pick another thing, because I will do that too. You know what I'd rather have is a new pair of jeans. Like a nice pair of jeans. Okay, new reward set. If the reward you have isn't really motivating to you right now, there's no wrong way to do this. Pick a better one. Oscar movie day, pedicure, and movie night. Watching season 5 of Grace and Frankie. Yes, on Netflix. Love it. Churros from Disneyland. Oh my God. Love so much. So much. So I think we really have to be real with ourselves about what's going to be motivating to us. Grown-ass women who want a treat, right? Treat yourself, and owning the art of figuring out what actually feels like a treat to you over time is part of being a boss, in my opinion. And then the third strategy to keep in mind when it comes to overcoming the middle dip is to think about making it mindless through repetition. This is almost counterintuitive because everybody and their mother is like on the mantle of mindfulness these days, right? We want to think and be present and be very intentional with everything that we're doing. But if you actually think about the art of habit formation, another one of my favorite books. I'm trying not to run over the dog as I do this. But Gretchen Rubin's book on habits, Better Than Before. Creating consistency in our habits can actually be done by kind of hijacking your own mindlessness. So for example, if I want to drink more water, and I always do because I'm living in Colorado now and things are dry here if you don't guzzle water every day. But I know for a fact that what I'm always going to reach for is the coffee. I make a little rule for myself. Every time I drink coffee, I first have to fill the mug up with water and like chug it before I can pour the coffee in my cup. And let me tell you that rule for myself has worked so well that I don't even think about it when I do it anymore. And that's a perfect example of how to take an action step that you want to force yourself into making and glue it to an action step that you're already probably going to be doing more often than not. I've heard people who say if they're working on their fitness or something, brushing their teeth and power squatting, like they've melded those two actions together. Or standing in the shower when you're washing your hair is when I used to strengthen my ankles when I had an ankle injury that I really didn't feel like standing around balancing on one ankle at a time. But if I could remember to do it while I was washing my hair in the shower, it kind of doubled up. So link your new habit that you're trying to form to something that's a trigger that you know that's going to happen every day or however frequently you want it to happen. So think about how you might actually use repetition to make what you're trying to do more mindless. Second tactic here, team up. You know, I want to go to yoga more often, but today and yesterday I put my yoga clothes on and never made it to yoga. I'm like such a cliche athleisure person in that way, and that I'll put yoga pants on every morning thinking, I'm going to go to yoga today. And then it doesn't always happen. But if I really think about it, when I commit to going to yoga with my friend Janelle, who sadly has a cold this week, so feel better, Janelle. But when I go to yoga with Janelle, 100% of the time, I'm going to be there. When you have a buddy who's waiting for you, you're not going to blow them off. So think about teaming up as another way to form repetition. Now, if only I could get a Denver-based accountability buddy who would like commit to Monday, Wednesday, Friday workouts with me, I'd be golden. Because I am such an obliger. I would probably show up and not blow off my own goals when it comes to working out if I had an accountability buddy who I knew was waiting for me. Make it daily. Think about processes that you want to do more of, and think, if I wrote do more meditation on my LifeTracker, it wouldn't happen. But if I said do meditation daily and think about, okay, every morning before I start work, I'm going to sit here in my office and meditate for 2 minutes, that's another way to make it mindless, to create habits instead of creating goals. Does that make sense? It's basically a way of thinking, okay, do I want a single action step on my to-do list here? Or do I want to make this into a new habit by saying it's a weekly or a daily action step on my LifeTracker? And finally, allow for imperfection. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but have you ever been the kind of person who, let's say you're trying to eat less sugar, which I mean, I'm not always trying to do that because I'm drinking hot cocoa right now and I'm a big sweet tooth person. But let's say, for instance, that I felt like my candy habit had gotten out of control because I have been eating a lot of candy lately, and my goal was for the next week to cut out candy from my diet. But I go into a meeting Monday morning and my coworker has a bowl of jelly beans in her office. So of course I'm mindlessly eating jelly beans in her office. And then I get out of that meeting and think, oh my God, I've blown the day, right? I totally blew it. I already messed up. It's not even 10:30 a.m. and I'm already making mistakes. Allowing for imperfection means to give yourself permission to not say, well, the day's ruined, I'll try again tomorrow, but instead to think, and even maybe name it out loud, I messed up this morning, but that doesn't choose what I'm going to eat for lunch. What I did this morning doesn't determine what I do this afternoon. What I did this afternoon doesn't determine what I do next. And allowing yourself to move forward, even though you've stumbled or you've indulged by accident and you've gone back on your intentions by accident, does not need to determine what's next for you. The perfectionistic struggle is real. Yes, my theme this year is 1% better every day. I love that. And also think about not just the tiny baby steps forward, but allowing for 1% back. Like, it really is about 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's the metaphor I'm going for here. When you take that 1 step back, do not let it make you think, well, I'm just going backwards now. Time to give up. And sometimes mindlessness can help you get back on track by saying, well, I'll try again next time. Or, I have this repeating cycle built into my day, week, or month in which I'm making this into a habit, not just a goal. I'm working on not feeling like all hope is lost if I miss something I wanted to do. Yes, that's huge. And sometimes it really is helpful to name it out loud and literally say to yourself, just because I didn't get to yoga today doesn't mean I can't get to yoga tomorrow. She said as she whips out her ClassPass app, because I actually needed to hear that from myself today, because it's been a couple of really busy days. And why? Why might that be? Maybe it's because I took Monday off to go skiing all day, so I should give myself a break if things are feeling a little busy, right? We have to be able to reframe the narrative in our own mind. And sometimes we're more compassionate to ourselves when we talk it out with a friend. But even if you can't talk it out with a friend, talk it out with yourself and listen to how compassionate or harsh you're being. Okay. I'd love to hear from you. Have you used any of these strategies? Come on, slides. Have you used any of these strategies, either repetition, creating sub-goals, or using rewards to actually sustain your motivation in the month thus far? I'd love to hear from you if you have, or if you're trying to, or if you've got questions about how this applies to you. Sub-goals for sure. Hey, Ngozi, nice to see you here. I didn't realize you were a LifeTracker planner user this year. Hey, girl. Awesome. So, okay, next steps from here, because we are in a difficult month or week of the month. You guys, it is so hot in here. What the hell happened to my heat in my house? I look like I'm overheating because I am. Sub goals. I've had to add a weekly goal or to-do list to stay sane and on track. Interesting. I'd love to hear where you put that, Gina, because that's a really good point. I try on Sundays, what I do most Sundays or Mondays, if I miss my Sunday, is I look at my LifeTracker and then I look at the week ahead and I think, okay, I need to put this action item on Thursday. I need to put this action item on Tuesday if it's going to get done this week. But I love that. Separate sheet of paper. Nice. Very cool. I need to call my brother. Yes, Sarah, I hear you. So sometimes it's about having an accountability buddy or having a repeating reminder in your calendar for the things that we want to do more of. Am I understanding what you're saying right, Sarah? I also should, repeating reminders, yes, love it. I should also add, well, let me sort of gear us up towards the next steps part of the conclusion of this training, but I also want to make sure you know I'm still here. If you've got questions, we can dive into them together as a community. If you're looking for an accountability buddy, tell us where you are also and what you're looking for in an accountability buddy. Maybe we can find one here for you in chat tonight. Okay, next steps. Right here, right now, I want you to set a sub goal for this week. Looking at your LifeTracker and looking at the reality of how much time is left in this week, which is basically 2 days, what needs to get done on your LifeTracker to make you feel a sense of forward momentum before the end of this week? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to bring the finish line closer for us by setting a sub goal right now. And the finish line that we're bringing closer to us is Friday the 18th. So for me, I'm going to do my 2019 budget worksheet with Brad by Friday night. In fact, we'll make it our Friday night thing. Budget night. Oh, God, that sounds so boring. I need something awesome to have to look forward to right after that. We're going to go out for drinks after we finish the budget. That's what we're going to do. drinks in our new neighborhood. Budget and wine. We were on the same page, Brittany. Okay, Kate in Northwest Arkansas is looking for an accountability buddy, willing to try a virtual buddy too. I totally believe in the virtual accountability buddy. Kristen says, don't budget boozy. That is a good point. Maybe just a little boozy, or maybe we'll bust out the booze when we're like 85% of the way through, because I am a bit of a lightweight. That's a good point. I think we'll keep the booze as our reward at the end. We'll go out for drinks, which for us is a huge indulgence, because Brad is like, why would we go out to drink when we have drinks here? Meanwhile, I'm like, let's go to the latest cocktail bar that just opened. Katie says, gather all the materials we need for our new financial planner on Friday. There's a lot of stuff like all my old 401ks that I've lost track of. Girl, I feel you. I've done that process in the past couple months. So what's your sub goal that you're going to achieve by Friday? Share it with us now in the chat bar. And then I want to encourage you to join me in the Courage community on Facebook with your next Fierce Friday check-in. So somebody awesome started the Fierce Friday check-in thread last Friday on the East Coast, because I was still like trying to wrap up my workday and forgot to start it. So thank you to whoever that was. Let me see if I can find it. Nope. Oh, here we go. Yes, this is it. Kate. So Kate, if you're here, nice work. She goes, I hope I'm not in the wrong area for posting her Fierce Friday check-ins, but this was great. She checked in by saying the highlight of her week, what she checked off for the month, and of course included this delightful Beyonce gift that I could just watch for forever. Let's do this together. Oh, hey, Kate. You're Northwest Arkansas, Kate, right? Am I getting that right? Awesome. Let's do this together this Friday. So I want you to think, what is it that you're committing to check in with us about this Friday? And let's check in with each other in the Bossed Up Courage community. And then let's make this a weekly recurring thing that we do. So I will send in a selfie into the Courage community of Brad and I, potentially with booze in hand. Although if you're on the East Coast, this will take a while for me to post. But finishing our budget worksheet that Chris, my financial advisor, has given us. That is my commitment to you. I want to know what you're committing to check in on in the LifeTracker, in the Bossed Up Courage community on our Fierce Friday check-ins. Bonus points if you can integrate a delightful gift into your check-in as well. And then, of course, next Wednesday, our final third installment of our January master classes to go along with using the planner and getting the most out of your planner this year. It's all going to be about getting past guilt and reaping rewards. So we're going to do a deep dive into guilt, talk a little bit about co-indulgence, talk through strategies for mitigating guilt and shame to also sustain our motivation. It's also the time of the month, towards the end of the month, when we start looking at the things that we didn't accomplish and why that's okay. Getting everything you've tacked onto this big-ass list on your LifeTracker every single month finished is a really insanely daunting high bar to hold yourself to. So we're going to talk about how we can move past what we didn't accomplish with motivation and not fear and shame and guilt. And then finally, if you haven't already heard, I'm hosting our first boot camp of the year in DC, January 26th and 7th. So consider joining me there if you're interested, because that'll be like the official wrap up to the full first month of January. So I'm excited. We already have a good class of new Bossed Up Bootcamp attendees joining me in DC, and I'm really excited about it. All right, let's look at some of your sub goals. Lauren's is get together with a buddy to work on panel proposal. Someone else's here is sign up for Lady Coders Conference in Denver. I've heard about this. I met with the woman who was who started it, actually. When is that happening? I'd love to see you there. Hopefully I can find a way to get involved. In April, she and I have been in touch for a while. I think she just, I'll have to look back with her. Thanks for the reminder. Good call. And that's all I got for us tonight. So thanks again to, who's this? R Ryan 813 for checking in. I'm always looking at your LifeTracker check-ins on social media, both in our Courage community, but also on Instagram as well. So feel free to tag me there and ask questions away. Know that this is a tough time of the month. It's natural for us to feel a little demotivated this time of the month, but I hope tonight has helped you see past the middle dip of motivation, has given you some new skills and tools to take with you into the second half of the month. And I hope, like me, I'm feeling a little more clear on how I'm going to actually make my priority goal an actual priority through the remaining few weeks that we have in January. I hope you'll join me in closing the month out like a boss. And I will see you all on our Friday check-ins in the Courage community. Thanks so much for tuning in for another great night. And wait, we've got to find accountability buddy. Kate needs an accountability buddy, virtual or in Arkansas. Kate, tell us about your goals that you're striving towards too, because sometimes the similarity in your highlighted priority goal can be really helpful. So what's your priority goal this month? Let's see. I wish I could search chat even faster. Possible Kate stepped away, but wellness. She's training for a half marathon and scheduling in a fun birthday hike. Happy almost birthday. So who's going to step up and be Kate's accountability buddy, virtually or otherwise, this month? Especially if wellness is your priority, this is the accountability buddy moment for you. I can. I'm a runner too. Awesome. All right. So I can connect the two of you. If you both email me, or actually, why don't you, and whoever just said I can't see your name for some reason. If you can find Kate's check-in in the Bossed Up Courage community from last Friday, that would be a good place to connect. So email me if you guys have any trouble connecting, but I'll leave it to the two of you. Thank you for stepping up. I really appreciate it, and that's what this community is all about. Vanessa, you'll be hearing from me on accountability buddy stuff from my end. And I want to thank you all for tuning in, for being such active and wonderful participants today. Have a great rest of your week, your month. I need to go cool off because my house is like 1,000,000 degrees right now, but thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you next Wednesday.